How do you turn objections into trust? In communication, objections are not obstacles, they're opportunities. Every challenge signals that your listener is engaged, thinking, and testing your credibility. If you become defensive, you hold your ground. But if you listen, you can turn objections into a bridge toward trust. Where there is doubt, there is potential for deep connection if you respond with empathy, not ego. Every objection, when met with understanding, can become the foundation of lasting trust. Don't fear objections. See them as invitations into the world of unspoken needs and emotions. When someone objects to you, it doesn't mean they're against you. In fact, objections often signal that the listener is paying attention and feels safe enough to ask questions. A client who says nothing might be uninterested, but someone who questions or expresses doubt is testing your credibility. That's not a barrier, it's an opportunity. If you see objections as invitations to deeper dialogue, you stop feeling threatened. Instead of avoiding or denying, you create space for understanding. Trust isn't born from perfect agreement, it's built through the courage to navigate difference with sincerity. The instinctive response to objection is often defensive. That's not true. I disagree. Or you misunderstood me. But such replies make the other person feel dismissed. And when they feel dismissed, they withdraw. Dialogue ends. In contrast, responses like "I understand your concern," or "let's clarify this together," open the door to sharing. These replies not only ease emotion, but also signal a willingness to connect. A skilled negotiator isn't the one who wins the argument, but the one who keeps the bridge of dialogue standing under pressure. Moving from defensiveness to dialogue isn't weakness, it's the mature strength of communication. Objections are rarely direct rejections, they're often surface signals of unmet deeper needs. When a client says, "This price is too high," they might actually be asking, "Am I making a wise investment?" When an employee says, "I don't think this will work," what they really want is a sense of involvement. If you respond only to the words, you miss the real message. But if you listen for the feeling behind the phrase, you unlock understanding. Effective communication isn't just about handling sentences. It's about decoding what hasn't yet been spoken. For skilled communicators, objection isn't a problem to fix quickly. It's a moment to build a lasting bridge. 3 simple steps can transform the interaction. 1. Ask to clarify. Could you tell me what's behind that concern? 2. Acknowledge the emotion. I understand why this may be frustrating. 3. Redirect to shared goals. We both want what works best. When you respond instead of react, you demonstrate emotional agency. When you converse instead of defend, you cultivate trust. It's in these moments of pressure that you prove yourself trustworthy. Here's a powerful paradox. Those who face objections head-on tend to earn more trust. Because in those moments, they show clarity, calmness, and integrity. When you don't avoid tough feedback, you demonstrate that you don't just have answers, you have presence. For example, a consultant once responded to a tough client question with, "That's a great question. I've seen similar cases, and here's how we handled it." No dodging, no deflection, just transparency. And that openness built more trust than any pitch. In professional settings, trust doesn't come from compliments, it comes from how you respond when challenged. During a branding workshop, a corporate client's marketing director snapped, "I don't like any of these proposals." The room tensed, but instead of defending, the designer calmly asked, "Can you help me understand what feels off?" That question opened a new conversation, not just about visuals, but about values, vision, and emotion. The result? The project not only stayed alive, it became a long-term partnership. Why? Because the objection was heard, not resisted. And in that moment of disconnection, real trust began. In a world full of promises and persuasion, people don't trust what you say, they trust how you respond when questioned. Someone who can hear objections without interrupting, without defending, without rushing to prove is someone who shows true strength. They don't need control, they offer partnership. When you can calmly say, "Thanks for being direct," and keep the dialogue going, you don't just preserve the relationship, you elevate it. Trust doesn't come from perfection, it comes from the ability to handle differences with calm and respect. Objections are a natural part of any meaningful dialogue. They are not a sign to end but an invitation to begin again, deeper, and more honestly. When you step into the discomfort where others question, doubt, or disagree, you show a rare trait: the courage to stay connected through difference. That's where trust grows, not from polished words, but from how you show up when things aren't perfect. If you believe communication is a path to real connection, start by listening to objections, not to respond, but to relate. If this message resonates with you, like to support human-centered communication, share to help others turn conflict into connection, and follow for more insights into emotional intelligence and meaningful living.